He's never fought us. Not us united.
Oh! I can so see that. That's it. Welcome to Under Two Capes. I'm Jared, and I'm here with JJheat and Teladia. What's up, gentlemen?
What's up? How's everyone doing tonight?
Well, and I think Teladia is frozen, but that's fine. He'll be back. So this week we are talking about our favorite DC Elseworlds stories. Now, JJheat, would you mind defining for the audience what an Elseworlds story is?
Okay, at least in my professional opinion, an Elseworlds story is an out-of-continuity story that's either self-contained or does not directly affect main continuity in any way.
Mm-hmm. And they've done many different, like, famous Elseworlds stories, like Speeding Bullets, where Superman landed in Gotham, was adopted by the Waynes. Instead of, and by the way, if you see me looking down, it's because my friend Tyler / the creator of the Comics League website's here. So I just
came out of the basement because he left.
I'm trying to involve him. But it's like a storyline where Kal-El lands in Gotham, is adopted by the Waynes, who can't conceive a child, and he becomes Batman. Oh. So in other words, someone with the powers of Superman becomes Batman.
All right, let's go with that.
And he murders people. It's awesome. So what's up, Teladia? You're back.
Yes. Blame the internet.
Well, this would probably help if I have the microphone right here, but okay. But so real quick. So now I figured we'll start off. What are your top 5 favorite Elseworlds stories? And I'll start with JJheat.
Okay, Kingdom Comes, Speeding Bullet, The Nail. Injustice is an honorable mention. I'm gonna just go ahead and say that right now.
Mm-hmm.
What other good Elseworlds stories?
Darkness of Steel?
Yeah, it's all right. Okay, we'll go ahead and put that in there. It's decent. Yeah. Deceased. Mm-hmm. And, well, let's just say one me and Jared are currently working on behind the scenes. But you'll learn about that one over time.
But I'll tease it. So JJheat and I are building our own DC universe based on the okay. So what DC did, like idiots, is that they killed. So they did the New 52 younger reboots for all these different characters. But okay, what they did was that the Superman one was growing into becoming Superman. The fans threw a fit, and they wanted him to be Superman now. And what they did was they just killed him and then replaced him with the Superman from before the reboot. It's really complicated. So JJheat and I are like, let's do it. What if he didn't die and there were like 2 Supermen in the world?
So it's an alternate universe.
It's an alternate universe, but it hinges on one change. That's the fun part about Elseworlds. One tiny change changes the entire universe. So,
for better, for worse.
Yeah. So Teladia, top 5 favorite Elseworlds stories. Go. And Teladia froze again, but okay. All right, and I'll go. My favorite are Deceased, which is basically DC Zombies, so it's DC Walking Dead. Injustice, which is basically Lois Lane is killed and Superman takes over. He punches a hole in the Joker's chest. It's awesome. And I would have to go with the one that JJheat and I are building, called the New Direction Verse. Restore the New Direction Verse. There you go. And
working title.
Superman Dark Side, I think, is what it's called.
Dark Sun, I think.
Yeah.
I know Legacy from the DCU adapted it, but I think it's called Dark Sun, if I remember correctly.
So Tyler, you remember from the Snyder Cut Dark Side, right?
Yeah, he's the dude with the glowing eyes, right?
There's a storyline where what if Superman landed on Apokolips and became his son? And Superman with the moralities of Dark Side.
Oh, then the universe would be screwed.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. The universe would be screwed. So, and
Dark Reign. Dark Reign, that's what it was called.
Dark Reign, yeah.
Dark Reign, yeah.
So, Teladia, your favorite DC Elseworld stories?
My favorite DC Elseworlds story, obviously, to start it off, would be All-Star Superman.
Yes.
Yes. I would say Speeding Bullet, of course, that's another good one. I would say Dark Knights of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say Superman Brainiac, because that is a that's not connected to the main continuity, is it?
I thought it was.
Wait, can you repeat that one?
And Brainiac.
Is that the one that Unbound is based on?
Oh
Yeah.
that's technically an Elseworlds story. That is technically an Elseworlds
I get
story.
confused because isn't it a sequel to Secret Origin?
It's been removed.
Kind of.
Okay, it was debunked or removed from main continuity. So I get.
Okay, I see. That makes sense.
Yeah, and then my final one obviously is Injustice.
Yeah,
of course.
So for those of you that don't know, All-Star Superman, if you ever want a succinct understanding of who Superman is and what he's like, read that one book. It's like multiple issues, but it's like one small book. They 100% covered who Superman is, his moralities. He stops everything to save someone from committing suicide. They basically summarize, here's who Superman is in one book. You don't have to read any of the previous continuity. So my other one is, I think it's like Batman Blackest Night or something like that, where Batman becomes a Green Lantern.
No, Blackest Night is where he has the Black Lantern ring.
But there's one where I think it's called In the Blackest Night, where the Green Lantern ring comes. Abin Sur's ship crashes, and he becomes the Green Lantern instead of Hal Jordan.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So it'd be that, because you also have like the Justice League get their own lantern rings, and then I mean the nail is pretty good. It's just okay. So the nail is basically, so the idea is that Superman's ship came in when he was a kid, but the Kents got a flat tire on their truck because of a nail in the tire, so they don't go to the field where they find him. So Superman does not exist for like decades, and it turns out that he was actually adopted and raised by Amish people. So he was not there for like so long. The DCU universe is really bad. So now what I want to talk about is what makes Elseworlds stories oftentimes here's the thing. Do you guys agree with me that Elseworlds stories are actually better than DC's main continuity at this point?
Yes. Basically, yes. Because Elseworlds stories are far, like, for example, Tom Taylor does better work for Elseworlds than he does for the mainline continuity.
That is true.
Just like
that is true.
Dark Knights of Steel, Injustice, and DC Disease, to name a couple there. Just basically prime examples to show that, the stories are well written.
Mm-hmm. And for those who don't know,
I'd agree to that.
So tell us. So what Dark Knights of Steel is, it's the DC, it's all the DC characters, but they exist in medieval times. So it's basically DC's Game of Thrones. It's super dope. Like it gets into Game of Thrones level stuff. Not porn, but it gets into like the bloody combat. That's what I have to have that caveat whenever I bring up Game of Thrones, because I'm like, it's not that portion of Game of Thrones.
It's too much to ask for both.
Yes, it is. If you want to have the book published.
Oh yeah.
This isn't like Golden Age Wonder Woman, which anyone that has seen that Marston movie knows what I'm talking about, where like he's bondage. Yeah. But I mean, some writers definitely do better work for Elseworlds because there's no rules, because it's like this is
fan expectation is low. You're not preserving a status quo. You can do whatever as long as the story's good.
Yeah, exactly. At that point, it's more of the stories than it, because you don't have to worry about, would Superman act this way? Mine would. My Batman would kill people. My Superman would at times kill people. Basically, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jane.
Contrary to popular opinion, The Dark Knight is essentially the de facto Elseworlds story. Dark Knight Returns. Thank you. Even though it makes sense, like Bruce just stops being Batman or takes a completely different approach after Jason dies, although it's realistic at that time, The Dark Knight Returns is essentially a universe where Tim didn't take the initiative to offer to become Robin, and reevaluates the point of why Tim is an essential Robin. Now, granted, he's not as relevant as he used to be anymore, but I feel like he still has a role. He still has a role. And that just proves my point. Sorry, I was going on a tangent. But
Okay. So for those of you that also don't know, so we mentioned Kingdom Come, which is like the most gorgeous DC book ever written, ever drawn. And by the way, the interior of the book looks like that. It's all painted. But this actually started off as an Elseworld, as not an Elseworlds book, because remember at the time they had wiped out the multiverse. So actually, this was the future of the DC universe, which is funny because that basically means DC was saying, "Oh yeah, Superman eventually gets with Wonder Woman." That's eventually the way it happens. So I'm like, oh, thank you. Yes, Teladia, I am doing that to rub in your face because remember, Zack Snyder said Wonder Bat doesn't work, so suck it.
Oh,
he legit said, I'm gonna get that as a drop and play it whenever. That's gonna be Teladia's new intro.
you see, I'm smart.
No.
That's why I never bring it up between Wonder Bat.
But you see, this is what the book looks like.
Lad, what do you prefer?
It's
Wonder
not
Bat or
lads, Tyler. It's not lads. Tyler, he built the website.
Hey,
All right,
but in all seriousness,
Ask Tyler, what does he prefer? Super Wonder or Wonder Bat?
well, you see, I kind of value my life.
I
think
won't hurt you.
Oh,
Don't
okay,
worry.
here's the thing, because I think, and I'm
Say it into the mic. You're here.
I'm just a novice. I'm a novice, like when it comes to comic books. But you know what? I would have to say Superman and Wonder Woman, because
Yes,
because the bat love thing, like I don't know, because I think Batman like is a solitude guy, and I don't think they would, probably it would be a 1 month flick thing, and then he'd divorce her or vice versa, and then bye bye.
Yeah, it wouldn't work. Even
that's a fair point.
Yeah, it would be like a short fling, and Wonder Woman does not have flings, so that doesn't work. But speaking of which, a
lot of DCU fans would disagree with you on that.
Well, okay.
It was a joke, Jared.
Yeah, I know. But speaking of which, by the way, my good friend Night Sky Wonder, who I use, she's my secret weapon for all this stuff, because whenever a fan will like bring up, because like yesterday I got into a debate, a civil debate with someone in my comments section about Batman with Wonder Woman. So all I did was I just screenshotted the arguments that this person was presented and sent them to her. She refuted item by item every single one. She's like, "That's not right. That's not right. That's entirely interpretation. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. And here's why." And I was like, "Yes." Yeah, hang on. So,
but in terms of like Elseworlds, though, I think Kingdom Come, like the Kingdom Come storyline was well done by Alex Ross, but I feel like even the prequel to Kingdom Come was also great.
You mean the sequel?
No, like when Superman and Joker and the whole situation that.
Oh, that was a prelude, but
yeah.
I read the trade, so everything was all together. But yes, technically that was a prelude.
Oh, okay, yeah. I have the trade, so it wasn't like I know that was a separate book.
Yeah, I read that book and I really enjoy that book because like you understand like what Superman goes through. Plus as well, it was in the 90s, like when that book came out.
1996 to be exact.
Yeah. Hey, my birthday.
Nice.
So I remember how many years it's been a long time.
It still holds up.
I've seen a lot of fan artwork, by the way, for Alex Ross using Henry Cavill's Superman.
Yeah, there have been plenty of fan things recreating this poster, but with the Snyderverse actors, and I'm like, yes, do that.
I've seen the Superman piece, with Henry Cavill's Superman.
Yeah,
that looks great.
That's what they should have done. Give us a conclusion of the storyline before you just reboot it. That's it.
All you have to do is do Kingdom Come. That's it. End of story.
And have Zack Snyder direct it, because that does seem like some movie that's in his directing style. But also here's the interesting part there with that. And speaking of Snyder, we can talk about it because remember, Elseworlds stands the best chance if we wanted a Snyder versus a comic, because guess what? It's an Elseworlds story. I mean, it was already an Elseworlds story for like when the Snyder Cut came out. So it was like, yeah, it's like you don't. It's like it's going to be an Elseworlds story, but I'm talking about in the comics. So that's a way it could continue for now, and then lead into like a movie or anything like that. But I just wanted to bring that up. But in terms of what do you guys think are some of the worst Elseworlds stories? Let's talk about that one.
Oh, that's easy for me.
I think JJheat left for some reason, but okay.
I think his internet. In my opinion, his internet.
Yeah.
But worst Elseworlds story, I would have to say, it's hard to choose. Really, I would say Convergence. That's
Convergence is not an Elseworlds story, though.
Isn't it?
Nope.
No.
Elseworlds?
Okay, Jared, I got this. Convergence was okay. Technically, the Hyros were moving studios, so it was technically a delay tactic. But if you really want to go into comics, Convergence was just a transition event between New 52, well, what was left of it, and the DC YOU initiative before Rebirth would kick off in late 2016, early 2017. But wait, hold on. Convergence was 2015. Mm-hmm. So okay. So essentially, it was a transition piece. Convergence as a standalone is not that bad. It's just very dreary and just carries a lot of stigma from the New 52 itself. And it came after Future's End. Ugh.
And let's not forget, and we know that Tevi is going to bring this up in the comments. So it's also the
oh boy,
again. You know, we're not live, so it's not going to be like he's going to show up in the live stream. But I know he's going to show up in the comments if we talk about Convergence. So there you go, Tevi. That's for you.
Yeah, but wasn't that retconned in the Infinite Frontier branding, to where Lois gave birth to him in the Fortress of Solitude?
Now it wasn't there. It was in the Superman Reborn storyline where they merged the two Supermen.
Okay.
Oh,
because after that, they talk about how there's a new timeline, because in the sequel to that, in the Trinity book that came out after that, you had like Superman going through, like, he has all these memories that are conflicting, which I'm like, you shouldn't have merged them. That was stupid, but okay.
But you know, in terms of bad Elseworld,
yeah,
I would have to say over the Justice League Overman, you know, the Superman.
The Nazi Superman? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, there was a Nazi Superman where instead of landing in America, he landed in 1930s Sudetenland, and then he was raised as a Hitler Youth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
that was bad.
So Batman's name is Leatherwings. Supergirl is Overgirl because his name is Overman. Again, here's the thing. Jim Lee. See, here's the thing. The art is good on that though, because it's Jim Lee, and the thing about it is that with Jim Lee, you ever notice that a lot of his art is put on really bad books, like All-Star Batman and Robin?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's another really bad Elseworlds book, by the way.
Someone roll the clip. Please just roll the clip.
Okay, I'll roll it. I'll roll it because whatever.
Why did you say that name?
Yeah, that's it. I had to. But yeah, I mean, gets in. Yeah, I mean, my least favorite Elseworlds story is not that I hated this storyline. It's just I didn't see the point of it. Was, where is it on my shelf? Let me see. It is probably, if I have to pick, I mean, there are so many Elseworlds stories I actually don't like. I mean, let me put it this way. I have a love-hate relationship with Injustice, because Injustice is then used as like the example of why Lois Lane is essential to Superman, even though she's not. But and by the way, that got me a lot of hate, that video. But my point is that it's used as like a lot of it's used as essentially like, this is why we need Lois Lane, because if it doesn't, he becomes a psychopath. And I'm like, what does that say about Superman? In other words, my dislike of Injustice is not because of the story itself, really. So it's really not that fair. It's just the fan reaction to Injustice, where they think that now this is why Superman and Wonder Woman can't be together, because there'll be a dictatorship, JJheat. And I
regret nothing.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't. I'm sure you regret nothing. You don't.
But in all seriousness, Injustice pretty much popularized the evil Superman trope. Now, granted, it was standard before that. Omni-Man with Invincible is a perfect example.
Overman, because a lot of like the Superman lands in like the Soviet Union with Red. How have we never talked about Red Sun yet?
That's
Red Sun is a good book. That's it, because it's a good book. It's not a bad book.
We watched the animated movie with Judah. That's essentially the storyline. Only they changed it so Wonder Woman's a straight up lesbian because she comes from an island of only women. Where in the other story, it's very much put in that she's in love with Superman.
Yeah, because they didn't want to make it too similar to Injustice. Almost as if one was a ripoff of the other.
But they turned good at the end. It wouldn't be similar to Injustice.
No, Injustice is a ripoff of Red Sun. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay. But I'm like, no, actually, no, it's not, because here's the way it differentiates itself. Superman does not turn good at the end. You would think he was when you're playing Injustice 2, the story mode, when they make you think he's going to turn good at the end. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. We're getting there. No. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's my one issue with Injustice 2.
This is why they might be rebooting Injustice as well.
Yeah.
Rebooting it, really.
They might reboot it because if they're with NRS, NetherRealm Studios, like I know it's kind of off topic type of thing,
Yeah.
but it's still in relation to Injustice, because the fact that there's nothing else they can do for the Injustice, so just reboot it, and what they can do is they can make Superman good towards the end, redemption story arc.
Yeah, and plus that would be a fantastic storyline, because when you look at what Injustice Superman has done, like he killed Shazam by heat visioning through his eyeballs.
Why do you do that?
Because Shazam was starting to have doubts about the whole plan. Oh. But can you imagine the storyline that you could have as like a sequel to Injustice 2 in the comics or Injustice 3? Here's the plot of Injustice 3. Superman tries to atone for everything he's done as the world dictator.
Or you could just have Darkseid ravaging the world in one big epic campaign. All hell breaks loose, and Barry has no choice but to erase the timeline.
That's probably what they're going to do, which I'm like, okay. But I feel like at this point...
but it's a good bookend.
I'm like, couldn't you just work with what you have now instead of just read? Because this is getting to be a little tropey to the point where I'm like, stop it.
But I just think when it comes down to bad books, like Injustice isn't one of them, but I think definitely the Overman situation is a bad book. Red Sun is good. Another bad book have to be Master Race 3.
Oh yes, Dark Knight 3.
I actually like that book. Now, here's the thing. To be clear, I like most of the Dark Knight Returns universe except for 2. There's no redeeming Dark Knight Strikes Again. And there's no redeeming All-Star Batman and Robin besides Jim Lee's art. But it's when you look at that book, when you look at Master Race, which is again Superman and Wonder Woman's daughter, basically. The thing about it is that that's more of like
a Superman story.
Yeah, it is more of a Superman story because the Kryptonians invade. I mean, it's not horrible, so I don't know why people don't like that one.
Because it completely derails. It's supposed to be the climax of the trilogy, and it's just Superman and Wonder Woman for the most of it. Because it completely derails.
Yeah,
that's what people care about. I'm like, but I mean, yeah, I get that. I don't know. I personally enjoy that one. I like Golden Child, and I mean, yeah, I could definitely see why some people don't like that book, particularly because it does go like, oh my gosh, look over here, no, look over here, no, look over here. Now this person's invading. Now this person is chopping off Green Lantern's arm, but he can still use his ring for some reason. But it's like all this other stuff that they're like, look here, look here, look here, look here, and I'm like, can you guys just
it's pure spectacle.
Here.
You get to a certain point where it just becomes pure spectacle. The last couple pages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And what makes All-Star Batman and Robin the worst part? Let's outline why All-Star Batman and Robin is bad. All right, so in this storyline, it's taking place in a universe where we have a more psychopathic Batman. Like, for instance, he lights criminals on fire, and then proceeds to have sex with Black Canary next to their smoldering corpses.
Wait, this is Batman we're talking
This
about.
is Batman.
Oh, okay.
This is Batman.
Okay.
Wonder Woman is a man hater. Like, she is walking past some guys and they make a snide comments about her, and she goes, "Out of my way, sperm bank." I know, right? It is the most like, I'm like, what the heck is going on? So
the next episode is her battle with the ACLU.
No, she fights Superman. She walks in because the meeting of the Justice League. Here's our meeting. What are we going to do about Batman? Because he's giving almost a bad name. So then, essentially, she walks in. She hates the Justice League, and she's like, "You all make me sick. We have to kill him." And Superman shakes her and goes, "What are you doing, woman? We can't kill him." And then they make out. And then she storms out. She goes, "You make me sick." Then she storms out.
Was this directed by a feminist?
No. She storms out, and Superman goes, while affectionately touching his lips, she goes, "She's a very nice woman." It's the most crazy book ever. Joker has like this elaborate back dragon tattoo when he strangles a lawyer. And so the way they defeat Green Lantern is okay.
You're kind of skipping ahead a little bit, Jared.
No, I'm telling all the really BS parts of the book.
Okay.
So Green Lanterns used to be weak to the color yellow, meaning his ring would not work. What?
Oh yeah.
Meaning, okay, so it would not work to anything on the color yellow. So is there anything painted yellow? So Batman and Robin paint themselves an entire room yellow, and the Green Lantern's like, "The hell did I just walk into?" It's the biggest.
And this is canon to something?
No, it's canon to it's an alternate universe. Thank God, because I'm like, Because I'm like, what would you ever want for this?
Was some guy like on LSD or like a whole mix of drugs when they made this, or what?
JJheat, tell us more about All-Star Batman and Robin.
Basically, they were trying to copy the success from the Keaton films. Like, if you compare Dark Knight Returns to Keaton's performance in his movies, tell me there's not a parallel there.
Keaton drops a bomb in someone's pants and smiles.
I take it back. I want to see this as a movie.
Is Tyler
That's what that is, ultimately.
Oh.
Is Tyler okay? Because I don't think he is.
That was disturbing.
I never know that myself. We just got done playing golf and telling really... I can't repeat them.
At least it wasn't Batman Telltales or whatever that was.
Yeah, so we tried to get through the Batman Telltale series. It's boring as hell.
I'm going through a bit of a playthrough right now. I mean, I'm on the first one. I haven't gotten to Enemy Within yet. Maybe Enemy Within gets a little boring, but at least from what I've seen, it's not that bad.
The thing is, there's too much time as Bruce Wayne.
I can see how that can get boring.
And too much flirting with Catwoman. And too much flirting with Catwoman too.
Yeah, the Batcat is laid on pretty thick. Not gonna lie.
Because it's a role-playing game, and what's the most essential part of role-playing games? Romance. That's one of the key things for You can romance Harley Quinn in that game. I've never done it, but because I value my sanity.
Thank God I'm off camera right now.
Oh, yes, exactly. Thank you. But
oh,
come on.
Dude, can we please edit that out?
No.
But I was gonna say, right? I think when it comes down to bad books, there is a ton of bad books out there. Just hard to pick out the good, the bad ones, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes down to Elseworlds, though, there is really, really good ones, and I think when it comes down to crunch, I think in the future we will probably get more really good Elseworlds storylines. I really think so. Yeah, Zack Snyder's Justice League is a prime example because it's a great Elseworlds storyline. Take huge inspirations from The Dark Knight Returns, and also takes huge inspirations from Final Crisis.
With a little bit of Superman side sprinkled in, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of. And
So
I even says the comic. Here's the thing again. That's where DC shines. Because here's the thing about DC versus Marvel. Marvel does not have this backlog of this history of fantastic Elseworlds stories. They have some fantastic ones. Don't get me wrong, but they don't have like the history that DC. Because remember, DC invented the multiverse after all.
yes.
Yes.
So it's like DC. This is what DC does best. So what I would do if I were DC. Still do the regular line of books because you can't avoid that, but hammer in Elseworlds or use Elseworlds to complete like other series, like what they did with Tom King when his highly divisive Batman run ended. They let him complete it as an Elseworlds book, which I'm wondering, does that make his entire run Elseworlds or how does that work?
Yeah, I think that might be Elseworlds.
More likely it's going to be Elseworlds.
Yeah, which is the same thing with this Wonder Woman right now because everyone's talking about the whole Wonder Woman's daughter thing. That's probably, I'm going to make a prediction of that. And by the way, we'll talk about this more on CLD tonight, but I'm going to make a prediction on that. She'll only show up unless she really explodes like Yara Flor did. She will show
Relatively.
She will show up for this run and this run only, and then we'll never hear from her again.
Yeah.
It's one of those potential future type storylines. Like you used to see them a lot back in the 2000s.
And we just had one. It's called Future State, and it was crappy.
Okay,
Future
that
State,
was just. Go ahead, Teladia.
Future State was a bad book. Let's be quite frank. Just like 5G, bad book.
The whole thing was a bad idea.
Here's the thing. It could have worked if they just said this is an Elseworld story. It's not connected to any DC continuity. Because what they did is that they then instituted no stakes in any of their books. Because guess what? If I know what the future is going to look like, why do I care about what I'm reading right now?
Even Future's End was another thing where we could discuss, because I think when they did the Batman Beyond comics, I was just like a bit confused when they said, "Oh, this is 2.0," and I'm just like, "Well, you've already got a Batman Beyond book already as it is."
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
So
Batman Beyond was a part of the tie-in comics for the DCAU before they were retconned with Batman Beyond Rebirth.
So,
also, Future State, that was just to appeal to the edgy teen market, just death and misery and gore. Mortal Kombat can get away with it because there's nuance. Y'all are just edgelords, and I will stand by that statement.
Thank you, JJheat. So, by the way, what Future State is, I'm going to explain in a nutshell. Here's what Future State is: Batman and Mr. Terrific create Skynet, and it takes over. Like what it does is, it's this robot called Brother Eye, which was designed to surveil every single superhero on the Earth, basically in 1984. But it goes self-aware, big surprise there, and starts rewriting the DNA of certain superheroes and turning them to cyborgs. So what they do is they send the Batman of the future back in time to stop Brother Eye from being invented. But to stop that plot, Brother Eye creates an amalgam Batman and Joker by taking Batman and Joker and connecting them back to back. Literally, it's Batman, and then he turns around, it's Joker. It's really creepy. Am I summarizing that properly, gentlemen?
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
That's the example of here's why. Because that plot sounds amazing. The thing about it is when it goes on for way too long. Because it's like, if it's like a short story arc and like a trade, yeah, that sounds awesome. But if it goes on for so long, it has so many different tie-ins that shouldn't even tie into it. Guess what? Why should I care about this event?
It's essentially DC's version of the Clone Saga, where it was just overly dragged out.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, so Tyler, so the Clone Saga is this infamous Spider-Man story. So you see those omnibuses I have on my shelf?
Oh yeah.
The entire storyline is 5 of those.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and they expect you to buy all that.
Give us money.
Give us your money, please. Even though we're not giving you, well, arguably not giving you a reliably good product.
That sounds like some Halo 5 stuff.
Yes, exactly. Tyler's my friend who I've told you about on the show, who basically is the big Halo guy.
That's right.
Yes.
He watched the entire show with me, and he's the one who predicted Master Cheeks from episode 1.
Yeah, I did. I said, "Hey, Jared, there's no way. I bet you there." And I was pulling this out my butt. There's no way. I bet they're gonna
Literally.
have sex scene.
Yeah, but literally, that's good. That's good. No, literally. And then I recorded his reaction. I can't show it on here because it's full of expletives, but it's really funny. It's really funny. But so that's that lens. But I mean, yeah. See, here's another Elseworld story. Actually, that's the entire New 52. Because remember, they took it in Doomsday Clock and said Earth 52 is all the way over here. So it still exists, still happened.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, thank you, because I don't want my stuff like completely destroyed. Why would they do that?
You do realize that was a consolation prize, and they just shelved it in its entirety, right?
No, I'm fine with that because it means it's still canon somewhere.
No, but here's the thing: Doomsday Clock. Zack Snyder doesn't approve of it.
And Jeff
knows that.
Which is awesome. Which is awesome.
But to be fair,
mic drop.
Sick burn aside, Jeff Johns was within the movie division when the DCU was crumbling apart. He was buried in delays. I just feel like, okay, so a deviation was necessary because Rebirth was leading up to Doomsday Clock, and Jeff Johns wasn't meeting the deadlines. So I understand the new direction, but they took the success they got from death metal way too far. The reason death metal was successful as it was because it was a shot at the dark. Though that despite how dark things get, the light prevails.
Well, remember, it wasn't death metal. It was the original one, Dark Knight's. I'm
counting both as an extension because it's the same argument.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
And yes, it was Dark Knight's metal, not death metal, but it's an extension of the same argument. Then they realized that was declining because no real DC fan likes dark storytelling other than just edgy teenagers. And
well, let me be clear. I like dark storytelling, but I like the other stuff too.
Dark storytelling with nuance.
With nuance. There's a time and a place for it. And anyone that says the Snyderverse was all Edgeworld stuff is lying.
There was a glimmer of hope in there.
Way more of a glimmer. If you saw Man of Steel, that was a hopeful movie. If Nick were here, he'd agree with me. But that's besides the point. Our point is that, you see, here's the thing. This is my problem with DC, and really Marvel too, and this is where I'll conclude, is that they have the potential for all these. We're on the verge of greatness, to quote director Krennic, but they don't take advantage of it. Like they could really just say we're putting all of our best creatives on our Elseworlds products, and guess what? Send those out, and guess what? I guarantee you that would outsell Marvel because Marvel doesn't do that.
Marvel is just reacting off Twitter. That's really all they've been doing for the past 7 years.
Which is why you have an orgy island for the X-Men. Yeah, literally that's what it is, Tyler.
Oh, God. Why do you keep referencing Cocoa?
Because you keep bringing up Marvel and Twitter. So, and we're going to have another X-Men prom. That's what they did. Instead of fighting bad guys, they're having proms.
Oh, is this directed by a Disney High School Musical?
Yes.
Pretty much.
It's essentially that. It's essentially that. But, I mean, yeah, but before we log off, I just want to say, if you could, so I've talked about your top 5 and top 5. What Elseworld stories do you guys want to see made into movies? Let's give 5. What 5 DC Elseworld stories would you guys like to see in movies? I'll start. I'm not going to say Injustice because that's the obvious thing. Dark Knights of Steel, I think, would do really well with like all the Game of Thrones fans and all that stuff. Even as a series, because a series on HBO Max that's Dark Knights of Steel, hell yes. I would say Kingdom Come. Obviously, I want a Kingdom Come movie because with the Henry Cavill cast, that'd be fantastic. I would go with Batman Catwoman because I enjoyed that storyline. I thought it was pretty cool. So,
wait, Batman? Tom King's Pity series, right?
Yes, back in the Pity series. I would have to go with. Well, we're getting a Flashpoint movie, but an actual Flashpoint movie, like the one that actually adopts the storylines instead of just changing it. And Deceased. That's what I want. Deceased.
Yeah.
Okay.
JHeat, what about
For
you?
me,
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Teladia was first.
Yeah, go ahead, Teladia.
for me, obviously, we know Injustice, right? That's a given. I think
Mhm.
Dark Knights of Steel, for sure. I would love to see uh the Dark Knights. The Elseworld Dark Knights in ones of Red Death, uh, the what's it called? Batman who's in the Doomsday look. I would love to see that against the Justice League. I would love to see that in live action, whether it's a series or whatnot. That'd be cool. I would also like to see this. I said deceased, right?
I think you said deceased. Yeah.
Yeah. I would also like to see Kingdom Come. That's another one. And I would also say All Star Superman, a
Oh
live
yeah.
action for
We've
All
gone
Star
this whole
Superman film.
episode without talking about All-Star Superman.
No, we talked about it. I said if you ever want
We
a
talked
book
about
that
it.
summarizes Superman, it's that book. That's all you have to say about it. It's fantastic. Plus,
Yeah.
that's also the book that James Gunn is using as coverage for people to think he's actually a Superman fan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
JHeat, what have
and
you
we'll
got?
talk about this on CLD because Guardians 3.
Yeah, it's not exactly performing up to snuff in terms of. It's a good movie. Let me be clear, but yeah.
Is not hitting 2 numbers.
Yeah, but I mean, so I think that's a good place to leave. Actually, you know what? Have I asked you your
No.
stuff, JHeat, yet?
Yeah, no. Oh, he
Oh.
hasn't. You haven't.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead. Yeah, again, 5 project DC Elseworlds that you want to turn to movies.
Deceased, Flashpoint, Kingdom Come, The Nail, and what's a good number 5? Injustice is too obvious. Screw it. Superman: The Dark Side.
Yes.
Because Superman the Animated Series adapted this perfectly in Legacy.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So for me, and I've already said mine. So real quick, we're gonna go around and where can everyone find you and what have you got coming out on the channel? I'll start with Teladia.
Well, you guys can find me on Twitter and YouTube at Teladia Plays. I recently did my Superman game video, and I will be doing a podcast with the guys on Into the Multiverse, a DC Comics podcast. We'll be discussing comics, video games, and TV show this weekend. If you're watching this later, then you know the episode is out. And also, I will be doing a live stream for Superman and Lois next week. A live reaction for episode 8. No, episode 9, sorry. Episode 9, yes.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
8 was a good episode, by the way.
Yeah, and we got to save at the moment, by the way, because the show might be getting cancelled.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So JHeat, where can one find you?
You can find me at JJheat Blaze, JHeat75 on Twitter, JHeat Blaze on YouTube. I'm actually finally going to get Batman the Telltale Series playthrough part 3, though I'll probably be a part of CLD later tonight by the time it goes live, or it's already out if you're already seeing this in the future. Also, in the case of Trinity, Batman, you are the father.
No, he's not.
I regret nothing.
What gave you an indication that he's the father of Wonder Woman's kid?
Hey, I'm just messing with you, Jared.
I know you are. And
on that note,
yeah. So and don't forget, JHeat and I are slowly building our DC universe. So there you go. So in terms of for me, obviously this is coming out. We have movie night. We're talking about Superman Unbound. In terms of this is gonna be awesome. In terms of standard video, I'm still TBD on that, but I will be starting a new show on Comics League soon with my good friend Night Sky. We're going to be talking about these all about Superman, Wonder Woman, why Wonder Bat doesn't work, and like just basically fandom in general. So it'll be a really fun series of a piece of content for you guys.
That sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to address, gentlemen?
Not on this show as opposed to Comics League Dark, but
Wonder Bat for life.
All right. So stay Rourke, everyone, and I will.